The Nevada sun was merciless that day. In the middle of a buzzing political rally near the Las Vegas Strip, a crowd of thousands waited for Donald Trump to take the stage. Red caps, American flags, and chants of "Make America Great Again" filled the air. What no one expected, what no one could have imagined, was who would step on stage next. As the lights dimmed and a dramatic remix of the national anthem boomed from the speakers, the curtain parted. First came Trump, arms wide open, basking in the roar of his base. But seconds later, walking beside him like a shadow stitched to power, was a figure half his height. XAE-12 Musk, Elon Musk's teenage son. Dressed not in a suit, but in futuristic black tech wear, his presence caused an audible gasp from the crowd. Some thought it was a prank. Others assumed the boy was just part of the security detail. But then Trump grabbed the mic and shouted, "Ladies and gentlemen, meet the future!" The crowd hesitated, then erupted. News outlets would call it a media ambush. Social media would go to war within hours. But in that moment, something was changing in real time. Not just politics, not just celebrity. The very idea of leadership, of legacy, of who would shape the future of America. X didn't speak. He didn't need to. His silence was louder than any campaign speech. Backstage, Elon Musk watched the scene from a live stream on his phone. His eyes narrowed. He hadn't approved this. He hadn't even known. Was this Trump's boldest move yet? Or something far more calculated? The first domino had just fallen. Inside a sleek, glass-walled boardroom at Tesla HQ, Elon Musk stared blankly at the massive LED screen on the wall. The footage played on a loop. Trump rally. X beside him. The crowd exploding. His executive team watched him nervously, some expecting laughter, others fearing an outburst. But Elon was silent. Not brooding. Calculating. "How did this happen?" he asked finally, his voice low but laced with tension. Grimes had sent him a cryptic message that morning. "You said no politics?" He didn't listen. That was all. The room stayed quiet. Then a young engineer, clearly overstepping protocol, muttered, "He looked confident, sir." Musk raised his head slowly. He's 15. He's supposed to be building rockets in a garage, not standing beside a former president in front of 10,000 people. But that was the problem. X wasn't like other kids. Raised around code and space launches, mentored by engineers and AI, he was as much a product of Elon's vision as of his DNA. Yet here he was, thrown into the orbit of a man who wielded influence through force, not innovation. Within hours, the internet was ablaze. Trump and X was trending. Political commentators spun wild theories. Was this a Musk-Trump alliance? A political grooming stunt? A subtle jab at Biden's age? And Elon, who had always played the long game, knew one thing with certainty. This was no accident. Trump never did anything unless it served a purpose. The question wasn't what X was doing on that stage. It was why. And what role Elon now had to play in a game he never signed up for. In the days following the rally, Washington buzzed like a disturbed beehive. Political insiders whispered of a shadow alliance forming, one that bypassed traditional party structures entirely. Elon Musk, the architect of Mars colonization and neural integration, had long been seen as a disruptor. Donald Trump, the chaos president turned kingmaker, had never stopped campaigning. But no one expected this. Musk had always kept X away from the public eye. He didn't post birthday photos. He didn't grant interviews. And now, suddenly, the boy was standing next to the most polarizing political figure in modern American history. It wasn't just a photo op. It felt strategic, intentional. What stunned Elon the most wasn't Trump's maneuver. It was X's eyes during the speech replay. Calm, focused, not manipulated, in control. Musk summoned his closest inner circle, SpaceX advisors, Tesla's deep learning engineers, Neuralink's brain interface developers. He didn't need damage control. He needed to understand the game board. At 2:13 a.m., Elon met privately with Shivra, his most trusted AI ethics advisor. She laid out what she believed was happening. Trump sees X as the missing piece, a genius boy with global name recognition, untouched by scandal, raised in Silicon Valley instead of D.C. He's more than a pawn. He's a symbol. Elon leaned back. A symbol of what? Of the future, hijacked. Meanwhile, Trump was already giving interviews. That kid? He gets it. Smart as hell. I like him. Reminds me of me when I was younger, only with better computers. Across the internet, memes exploded. X equals 47 trended. Some treated it as satire, others as prophecy. The lines blurred. Was this real political momentum, or another Musk-level distraction? What neither side realized was this: X had his own plan, and Elon had just lost the monopoly on shaping his son's future. The following week, a video surfaced, not from Elon, not from Trump, but from X himself. Shot in low light, probably from a quiet corner of Starbase, the 14-year-old prodigy stood in front of a glowing screen filled with orbital trajectories. His voice was calm, almost unnervingly composed. I'm not here to be anyone's symbol, not a Musk, not a Trump. I'm here to solve problems you haven't even started thinking about yet. 16 seconds. That's all it took. The internet shattered. Millions of views in hours. Commentary split like tectonic plates. Some hailed him as the real Musk 2.0. Others warned of a groomed technocrat on the rise. But beneath all the noise, one truth crystallized: X had a voice now, and he was using it. Elon watched the video from the glass tower of Giga Texas, his expression unreadable. For a moment, he said nothing. Then, to no one in particular, "He's stepping out of my shadow." Inside Neuralink's core lab, engineers paused. They'd never heard Musk sound vulnerable. Meanwhile, Trump's team scrambled. They hadn't authorized this. Was X breaking rank? Was this some Musk media tactic? Or was the boy really going solo? Trump called Elon. "You lost control already?" Elon replied. "He's not mine to control. He's mine to protect." Silence. Then Trump said, "That's not how we play this game, Elon." Click. In the White House press briefing room, reporters shouted over one another. Was X being groomed as a political figure? A cultural one? A technological leader? Or something else entirely? The press didn't understand one thing. X wasn't stepping into a game. He was rewriting the rules. And no one, not even his father, knew where the next move would land. The world was watching, but the real tension pulsed behind locked doors. In a private suite at the Giga Texas compound, Elon sat across from X for the first time since the video went live. The room was quiet except for the soft hum of a Tesla coil display in the background, Elon's idea of calming decor. He finally spoke. "You're not wrong," he said, "but you're not ready." X didn't flinch. "Then prepare me." Outside, rumors swirled that Trump's team had approached X directly, offering a role as a tech liaison for youth innovation programs. In reality, they wanted the Musk name and the mystique of a next-generation genius wrapped in the American flag. But X wasn't interested in flags, or teams, or legacy power. He was building something new. In Washington, Trump fumed, not because of X's defiance, but because he recognized it. That same fire had once burned in his own rise, but now it threatened to eclipse him. So Trump did what he did best: turn the narrative. On Truth Social, he posted, "Interesting to see Musk's kid go rogue. Didn't know genius could skip a generation. Weak leadership. The post exploded. Elon, sipping black coffee in his solar-walled lab, read it and smirked. He turned to X, who was still studying Starlink schematics projected in midair. "Ignore the noise," Elon said. "Build so loud they can't talk over you." But even as they spoke, far from the public eye, another scene unfolded. In a classified Pentagon meeting, defense officials debated the X-factor scenario, how a non-elected, AI-literate youth might unintentionally shift geopolitical balances. Not because of politics, because of access. Access to Tesla's black box tech, to Starlink's private bandwidth, to Neuralink's brainwave prototypes. They weren't worried about Elon. They were worried about X. Because while the world debated who would shape America, Musk or Trump, another force had entered the arena. And he wasn't asking for permission. He was rewriting the future from inside its code. X stood in front of a glass board in Tesla's subterranean engineering wing, where no media, no satellites, not even Starlink could peek in. He was sketching a neural net architecture that would allow autonomous systems to adapt emotionally, not just logically. Behind him, Elon watched silently, arms folded. For the first time, he wasn't correcting. He was observing. "You realize," Elon finally said, "what you're designing could bypass every protocol the government has in place." X didn't turn. "That's the point." The statement hung in the air like voltage before lightning. Meanwhile, in Mar-a-Lago, Trump summoned his inner circle: advisors, donors, strategists. He paced the room, holding a tablet with X's latest demo, hacked footage from an internal Tesla R&D session that had somehow found its way into conservative media circles. The headline read, "Musk's son is building a machine that thinks like a god." Trump slammed the tablet onto the table. "We can't have another unelected technocrat, especially a teenager, controlling the narrative of the American future." One advisor offered a chilling suggestion. "What if we reclassify some of his projects as national security threats? Bring in federal oversight?" Trump nodded. "And what if we offer him a platform bigger than Elon ever gave him?" Trump wanted X, not as a tech partner, but as a political symbol, a next-gen American dream puppet in his campaign theater. Back in Austin, X had other ideas. He had begun assembling a group of minds, young prodigies from obscure corners of the internet, VR spaces, and hacker collectives. He called them the silent coders. Together, they were developing a decentralized operating system, Aurora, capable of syncing Tesla's AI, Starlink's global net, and Neuralink's consciousness bandwidth. Not for war, not for profit, but to make governance obsolete. One evening, while reviewing satellite relays, Elon looked at X and said, "You're not just building tech, you're challenging civilization." X didn't blink. It started as whispers in encrypted forums, code fragments posted in the deep corners of the web, a signature that read only one thing: number Aurora Awakens. Within days, thousands of decentralized nodes around the world began compiling and activating sections of the Aurora OS. What X and his team had created was not just a software, it was a self-scaling ecosystem designed to bypass not just governments, but permission itself. And then, one morning, it went live. Aurora integrated silently with thousands of smart systems, cars, satellites, drones, even city grids in Africa and Asia, where legacy infrastructure was brittle. Nothing broke, nothing screamed, but suddenly, decisions were being made faster, cleaner, and more humanely than any government agency had ever managed. The world noticed, but so did Washington. Trump called an emergency press conference from his campaign war room. Let me be very clear, he thundered. No teenage hacker, no matter who his father is, gets to decide how America runs. Behind him, campaign visuals now showed X's face right next to Elon's. The new slogan, "Take back the future." At that moment, Elon was sitting quietly in a Tesla meeting room, watching the stream with his lead advisors. "Do we pull him back?" one engineer asked nervously. Elon shook his head slowly. "Number. He's not following me anymore. He's leading something new." In Austin, X and the silent coders had moved operations to an underground AI lab. Originally designed to test neural implants, now converted into a quantum sync center. Screens showed data flowing from Tokyo, Sao Paulo, Johannesburg, and Berlin. The global experiment was working, but with visibility came risk. Cyber attacks from unknown actors surged. Some bore the signature of military-grade tools. Others were clumsy but persistent, clearly amateur but politically motivated. Aurora deflected all of them. It was learning, hardening, evolving. And then came the message, a direct ping from an anonymized DC server. Your next action will be considered a threat to national sovereignty. Comply or be neutralized. X stared at the message, then forwarded it to Elon with a single caption. "You warned me this would happen." Elon replied with one word. "Choose." X turned to his team. "We never asked for permission," he said, "and we won't start now." He tapped a command. Aurora initiated Phase 2, a full consciousness interface simulation. The first publicly accessible AI-augmented decision engine where citizens could directly vote on real-time governance scenarios globally. Not through politicians, but through choice itself. Outside the lab, digital screens flickered in every major city. A simple question appeared. If you could build a new world, would you? The day the world paused wasn't marked by disaster, but by a decision. Aurora's interface went live to over 1.5 billion users within 36 hours. The question wasn't theoretical. It was immediate, executable, and irreversible. Should governance be redesigned by people, not politicians? Cities lit up with debate. News anchors panicked. Governments scrambled to disconnect. But Aurora had no central server. It was everywhere. On solar-powered routers in deserts, on school computers in the Philippines, even hidden inside climate sensors in Greenland. Trump went live from the Capitol. This is not innovation. It's infiltration. They're hijacking democracy. But something unexpected happened. The crowd outside didn't boo. They didn't cheer. They just watched, silently. Meanwhile, X sat across from Elon in a silent Tesla conference room, both lit only by the glow of the dashboard screen. Aurora had paused for one final key, Elon's private quantum authorization. Without it, full global integration would stall. Elon stared at his son. "You know what happens if I approve this?" X nodded. "Yes. We'll no longer ask the world to change. We'll let it choose." A long silence. Finally, Elon reached forward and pressed his fingerprint. The system unlocked. Instantly, every citizen with access received a single, simple prompt. No party affiliation, no media filter. Just choice. Yes, no. Over the next 72 hours, 2.8 billion people voted. In Nairobi, a child voted from a school tablet. In Berlin, a retired engineer cast his vote from a smart fridge touchscreen. In Ohio, a disillusioned truck driver voted during a coffee break. And when the votes were tallied, yes, 72%. No, 28% humanity had spoken. Not through leaders, not through revolutions, but through design. In a final press conference, Trump stared into the cameras. They didn't beat me. They bypassed me. And with that, he stepped down from the race. Not because he was defeated, but because the rules of power had been rewritten. Elon refused to run for anything. "I'm an engineer," he said, "not a kingmaker." And X? He disappeared from public view. No farewell, no manifesto. But months later, a satellite passing over Iceland detected a signal from a once-dormant Tesla server farm. The code was still running. Aurora was alive. But it wasn't leading. It was listening. The world had changed, not through violence, but through voice, through quiet design, through a revolution that asked not for loyalty, but for participation. A silent revolution.